What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. And, things are just getting so bad right now here with our economy. And if you just watch my recent video here about the new wave of inflation that people are not aware about, boy, was that really an eye opener for a lot of people. I want to show you guys here in a moment this new article here for actually, or this new eye opener from Macy's, believe it or not. Boy, this is just really just the new wave of things that are hitting the United States and hitting Americans, millions and millions of people. These it's just unbelievable what is happening here after we are coming out of a pandemic. We're supposed to be, recovering. We're supposed to be, remember, we, basically shut down the company or shut down the country here years ago, back in 2020. Here we are in 2023. And, we're supposed to be, hey, we're supposed to be thriving. We're supposed to be flourishing now. And here we are, we have a Fed that just keeps relentlessly pounding us with interest rate hikes and just trying to force us into a recession or a depression or a Great Depression at this point. Who knows? And it's just like the United States and Americans, with two-thirds of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, 50% of Americans go their whole lives and go into retirement and don't have any retirement savings. Think about that. This is not like a recent problem, because if they work their whole lives and basically can't save for retirement, there's larger factors at play here. And take a look at kind of this brand new warning that Macy's has now to kind of sum up what is happening here. Yeah, so Macy's sounds the alarm on credit card delinquencies. Here's what they're saying here. Macy's is warning of a spike in customers who are failing to make credit card payments, adding to the evidence of mounting financial stress on consumers. The iconic department store had anticipated delinquencies would climb following a post COVID lull, but Macy's management has been caught off guard by the magnitude of the uptick, saying, quote, the speed at which the increase occurred for us and the broader credit card industry was faster than planned, said Adrian Mitchell, Macy's chief operating officer and chief financial officer. They told analysts during an earnings call here on Tuesday, added that this problem accelerated in June and July, noting that things are actually getting worse. Wow, this situation is hurting Macy's business. And note that Macy's is not alone. This is a trend, aka things are getting worse, driving down credit card revenue by 36% year over year and contributing to a quarterly loss, he said, citing worsening consumer leverage metrics. Macy's is bracing for a further increase in, quote, bad debt in its credit card portfolio. And remember, if you've been watching my channel here, you know that banks are failing and also have bad debt worth billions and billions of dollars. Wow. Macy's blamed the jump in delinquencies on broader financial pressure facing consumers and mounting debt levels. Quote, I think the credit card revenue is an indication of some of the pressures that we're actually seeing on the consumer. This is about credit card balances. This is about student loans, which we know is now going to come into focus in the next month or two. And remember that the average the average student loan is like $400 a month or $5,000 a year. And they haven't had to pay those for like 3 years. And now there's like 40 million people that are going to now have student loans due. And also auto loans. Remember, the average new car payment is $716. And remember, the United Auto Workers just voted to strike if they don't get a 46% raise and go down to a 32-hour work week or a 4-day work week in addition to a 46% raise. I'll link you to a video I just did on that. Think about the massive increase that will have to do with the automakers. They will have to raise prices on cars dramatically after a massive raise like that. Yeah, I mean, just wow. Imagine if you had employees, hundreds of thousands of them, all of a sudden they want a 46% raise, which is very similar to what UPS just got, which is also very similar to what the airlines just got, which is also very similar to what all these workers want, and they want to go down to a 4-day work week. You have to raise your prices. 46% increase in wages, 46% increase to your price. People wonder why things are costing a lot more money across the board. And then you have interest rates going up and up and up and up. And guess what? If you're already in credit card debt, thousands and thousands of dollars, you're sunk. Yeah. And take a look here that more cardholders are already carrying credit card balances in high rate environments. In fact, Americans' credit card debt just hit a record $1 trillion. Not $1 billion, $1 trillion in credit card debt. And the average credit card debt now is almost 25%, according to Forbes. And they're probably going to go higher here as the Fed is raising rates like it's, putting quarters into a slot machine and just pulling that lever over and over and over. And don't forget, it's not just credit cards. It's auto loan rates, it's mortgage rates. In fact, as you can see here, what higher interest rates mean for mortgages, credit cards, and more is that it means more money out of your pocket coming every which way. In fact, as you can see here, the average price for a home in the United States is now $416,000. That's a 26% increase just from 2020. And this is just the cost of the home. Don't forget that the actual interest rates now are sky high. In some states, you can't even touch a home for $416,000. I'm looking at you, New York City or Los Angeles or maybe Chicago. You can't even buy maybe a shoebox for the price of that, right? But I mean, in some states, like maybe you're in Texas or Ohio, those are, good, well-priced homes. You could get a really good home for that, right? But not only has the price of homes increased 26% in 3 years, but the interest rates have gone up dramatically as well. As you can see here directly from Google, on a $400,000 home, which is actually a little bit less than the average 30-year mortgage is now over 8%, with the average credit score, which is between 700 and 719. The average mortgage is now over 8% when you're in that credit range. Wow. And again, it doesn't really matter what state you pick. It's in that range, California being the largest state population-wise. Texas actually at 8.1%. Yikes. I mean, these are just absolutely just brutal brutal interest rates. And I'll show you why. And I mean, again, I get that, interest rates were 18%, 40 years ago. But you got to remember that only a year ago, or a little bit over a year ago, we were at 3%. 3%. Let me show you how much of a difference this makes. We'll go to Google here and we'll type in mortgage calculator. Okay, mortgage calculator. Okay, and we will go here to a $400,000 home. Okay, look at this. It already wants to say the interest rate is 8.1%. 8.1%. Oh my goodness. These are heart-stopping rates nowadays. Again, nowadays being the key because this is the current time, right? Okay. $40,000 loan. Yeah, right. $400,000 loan. Okay, at 8%, oh my goodness, right? Now, remember that a year ago, interest rates were 3%. They were actually a little bit below 3%. Look at the difference here of what, again, an average home is over 400,000, almost $3,000 a mortgage payment, right? For an 8% interest, because that's what they are. You just seen them. We went to Google. You just seen them, right? If you had a 3% mortgage rate, look at what the difference is going to be here. We go from just under $3,000 a month to $1,686 a month. I mean, that's a difference of $1,300 a month. Unbelievable. We go from $2,935 to $1,686. Wow. And that's just an interest, guys. This is for the exact same price house. $2,935 minus $1,686. So this is the exact same home, $400,000, and the only difference is the interest rate from 1 year ago, going from a 3% to an 8%. You're paying an additional $1,249 a month every single month times 12. That's an additional $15,000 in interest per year. Every single year, $15,000 in interest in 1 year. And guys, this is life-changing money. Over the course of 10 years, that's $150,000. I mean, that's retirement money, guys. That's retirement money. And remember, that's going to compound even. That's going to end up being more money. I mean, this is just absolutely life-changing, life-shattering type of stuff here, right? I mean, $150,000. I mean, that's another home. You can go buy another home. I mean, in some areas, right? I mean, unbelievable, right? It's absolutely just bonkers here. And the only difference here is the interest rate. We've gone from, it's the exact same home. We've gone from a 3% interest rate to a 8% interest rate. And the other thing that I want you to keep in mind here is that when you're paying interest to the credit card companies, all that money is what you're paying to the credit card companies. So this is like a lesson in finance, that when you're giving money to the credit card companies every single month in interest, that think about all that money that we just talked about that is going to the bank on your 8% interest. Think about if you're paying 25% interest to the credit card companies. Well, just let that kind of sink in. You're like, oh my God, $15,000 a year to the mortgage company. Now think about if you're paying credit card interest and it's 25% interest. That was only at 8% interest. And that is like the age-old saying. If you've been watching me for a while, you've kind of heard this. It took me a while to kind of get my brother to sink in, invest in his IRA. And the same thing, if you got a 401k at work, it's kind of the same thing. Pretend that I'm your brother here and I'm trying to, help you out through the years. It's the same thing, right? Finance is actually kind of one of my passions. If you ever hear me talk about finance, you'll kind of see me like it kind of like light up when I talk about it, because it's like if you learn how money works, you can be the same person. You could be a teacher, and there could be 25 teachers that all go to work at the same place. And if half of them go to work and don't invest in their 401k, don't save a little bit of money in their 401k, and are in credit card debt and pay money to the credit card companies every single month, and they go to the grocery store, and every time they buy groceries, they put it on a credit card and they pay the minimum, and they end up paying the credit card companies interest and interest and interest and interest, and never saving the IRA and 401ks. And the other half just do things a completely different way, and they earn the exact same salary. But instead, when they go to the grocery store, they pay for it on their credit card and they get 5% cash back on groceries. Okay. And what they do is, every time they charge it, they get that 5% cash back on groceries because they use a cash back on groceries credit card. And when they get their statement, they pay it off in full every month. So they don't pay any interest. And they're actually getting 5% cash back. So they're getting paid to use the card. So they pay no interest and get 5% cash back. And every time they get their paycheck, they're investing in their 401k, and that grows over time. As you know, the stock market is at a near a 1-year high. I think last time I looked, the stock market was up like 10% on the year. It erased all the losses from last year, and the year before that, the stock market was up like 20%. And again, you're going to see bumps in the road, but over time, we know that the stock market goes up and up and up. I think if you look at the stock market overall, over time, it's up like 8 or 9% year over year, which means you're going to make a lot of money over the course of time. This is your retirement fund, right? And again, you're going to get a match, just like a pension. Okay, a pension. My dad got a pension, and pension is the exact same thing. That you take money out of your paycheck, and the company will match it, and they invest it. They're going to invest it in stocks and bonds or whatever they do. Pension and a 401k and an IRA are all the same thing. They just have different names. You take a little bit of money out of your paycheck, the company gives you a match, and then they invest it. Problem is, if you don't do anything, even if it's just a little bit out of each paycheck, you take it out and you invest it for your future self. Problem is, if you don't do any of that, you won't have a savings account. You won't have a retirement account. Just so you know, Social Security is actually the exact same type of thing. They take a little bit out of each paycheck and they invest it, and you get it later. It's the exact same type of thing. They invest it in US Treasuries. They take a little bit out of each paycheck and it invests for your future self. Imagine if Social Security didn't exist. Yeah, and remember, the 50% of Americans retire with nothing but Social Security. And remember, it wasn't that long ago that there was no Social Security. It was only 100 years ago. Yeah, so, and remember, when they wanted to start Social Security, there was a whole bunch of people that were against it. They said, no, don't do Social Security. It's socialism. We don't want socialism in our country. And now everybody's fighting to protect it, saying, oh, we got to save it. We got to save it. Well, that's for another video. We'll talk about that. But if you just do things the right way, don't pay credit card debt, or if you got it already, pay it down as fast as possible. Because if you're paying 25% interest to the credit card companies, they're raking you over the coals. That means that every 4 years of credit card debt that you have, you're paying them 100% interest. That means if you have $10,000 in credit card debt, that means you're paying them $10,000 in interest every 4 years that you keep that balance. You're paying them $2,500, that 25% on $10,000. You're paying them $2,500 every year, 25% on $10,000. So you want to get out of that debt as fast as possible. And then if you pay it off every month in full, just set it to auto pay in full. Or if you can't do that, just cut up the credit card and don't use it. Use your debit card and just use the debit card or paying cash. Paying credit card debt is like the worst debt ever. It's like loan sharking, at least at this point. If you had an 8% credit card debt, it wouldn't be that bad. But I mean, good debt is something like a house debt because at least you're paying on something that's an asset, somewhat. Okay. Or maybe a car. Cars aren't really appreciating assets, but you need a car to get to work. But at least if you hear this stuff a couple times, it'll sink in. Most people don't really grasp this stuff on the first time, but if you listen to me, it'll kind of sink in. But you gotta hear from somebody. So hopefully I'm your big brother or your little brother, depending on how old you are, or somebody. But at least I'm here to try to help people out. Again, I don't make any money from. I'm not selling you anything. Um, but hopefully this is good advice for you because somebody's got to be there to tell you this stuff. I heard this stuff from people wiser than me, and it took me some time to do it as well. Also, if you have money in your 401k, your IRA, your investment accounts, you got to remember not to sell them on every little dip of the market. If you got to look at a stock market on a graph of 10 to 20 to 30 years. It's going to go like this, but the graph is going to go on a 45-degree angle for the most part. So just remember that, banks and credit cards and stuff like that, they're trying to make money off you. So you got to remember what is good debt and what is bad debt, and try to get out of the bad debt as fast as possible. If the debt's over 8% or something like that, it's probably bad debt, and try to get out of that. you know. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything. I really enjoy finance. Understanding money is one of the most important skills you can have for yourself. It's very, very important to understand money. If you talk to any billionaire, or if you read about billionaires, read some of the mindsets. A lot of my books are about money. You can read some of my books here. Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon, The Four Pillars of Investing, The Lies About Money, Personal Finance, The Boglehead, The Millionaire Next Door. Do you see the themes here? Right? And of course, subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed. But if you see the themes here, if you understand how money works, you can be successful in life. Of course, that's just one thing to focus on in life. But if you understand how money works, you're more likely to be successful in life, at least in that department. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I welcome them. Yeah, so if you haven't yet, subscribe down below. It's the best cost. It's free. And thank you so much for liking and share these videos. Please share these videos with anybody that needs to hear this. Tell them to listen to the whole thing. Yeah. Here's a really good video I just did about the next massive wave coming on inflation. Really good video here. Eye-opening. A lot of people don't understand this. So if you haven't watched this yet, click here. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.